They say the dead can't speak. But sometimes, the evidence they leave behind can whisper louder than any living witness. Riverbend believed the Vale fire was finished business. Colin Mercer convicted, Mason Hale vanished. But the voicemail Ruth received at midnight shattered that fragile peace. 6 isn't the number you think it is. Detective Soria replayed that message again and again. Mason's voice, smug, certain. What had he kept? What could he mean by 6 not being the right number? The Vale fire had 6 child victims. That was fact. Autopsies, funerals, headstones. Unless Mason wasn't talking about bodies. Unless he was talking about something or someone else. 1 week later, Soria got her answer. A battered VHS tape, stuffed in an envelope, arrived at the precinct. No return address. No fingerprints. Just 3 words scratched into the flap. She should know. When detectives pressed play, the room fell silent. The footage was grainy, filmed from inside the Vale home weeks before the fire. Mason's voice narrating, almost gleeful. Colin thinks this'll work. 6 kids, 6 beds. But you can't just count heads. You've got to count secrets too. The camera panned to the children asleep. Then, down to the basement. A 7th bed. Empty. Fresh sheets. A stuffed bear waiting. The revelation hit like gasoline on flame. The Vales had 6 children on paper. But records showed Ruth had given birth years earlier to a 7th child, Amelia Vale, quietly adopted out after infancy due to financial strain and Colin's violent temper. The tape was proof Mason knew. Proof he wanted to use Amelia as leverage. Proof the fire wasn't just about money, it was about control. If Colin couldn't have the 6 in his house, he'd destroy them and maybe come for the 7th. The FBI joined in. Mason Hale was now wanted not only as an accomplice to arson and manslaughter but also for extortion and threats. Tips flooded in. He'd been spotted at truck stops, motels, campgrounds, always leaving just enough of a trail to make Riverbend believe he wanted to be found. The voicemail, the tape, Mason wasn't hiding. He was taunting. Ruth Vale hadn't spoken publicly since the trial. But when she learned Amelia's name was back in headlines, she broke. I did what I had to do to protect her, she told a local reporter through tears. I thought Colin would never stop. I thought if I gave her up, at least 1 child could be safe. Her secret was out. The grief of 6 was heavy enough. Now the weight of 1 more, hidden all these years, crushed what was left of her peace. The end came in a forest outside Lincoln County. Deputies tracked Mason's truck to a hunting cabin, empty beer cans lining the porch. Inside, maps of Riverbend, newspaper clippings, and Amelia's adoption papers, copied and underlined. Mason was found out back, crouched by a fire pit. He didn't run. He didn't fight. He just smirked as officers cuffed him and muttered, "You don't bury the truth with ash." At trial, the tape sealed his fate. Mason Hale was sentenced to life without parole, the final co-conspirator in Riverbend's darkest tragedy. Colin Mercer will spend the rest of his life in prison. Mason Hale will too. But Riverbend will never forget the sound of Ruth Vale's voice at Amelia's public court appearance. The child grown, alive, and safe. She's proof, Ruth said, trembling. Proof that 1 life out of 7 can escape the fire. For a moment, Riverbend breathed again. Porches filled. Kids biked at dusk. And the Vale home, charred and empty, was finally torn down. But every resident knew the story would never fully leave. Because behind closed doors, every family hides secrets. And sometimes those secrets strike matches. The Vale fire. The 7th child. The accomplice unmasked. Justice was served, but Riverbend would forever remember that terrifying truth. Every child deserves a parent. Not every parent deserves a child. White heavy checkmark, end of series.